Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
What up, yo? Hey, man.
I'm sorry. I'm
know,
sorry
that
to
was-
put you through this shit.
That was just as glitchy as the original one. It's all good. No, you sound good, man. You look good, too.
Oh,
Cleaner
good.
and better. Phone is much better than the laptop you're using or whatever it is
Oh,
you're
good.
using before.
Oh, gotta get
Cool.
my finger in the picture.
I realized, too, I forgot something, too. Anyway, happy Schnitzel Monday night V 2.0. It's Monday night. Germany night.
I left town. I left my technology behind and left you to man the music button. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I need to, I got all sorts of stuff going on. I'm using the board directly from the program here, and I'm going to try to go back to using that third-party program I was using back in the day because I also want to adjust the EQ on my microphone because my voice needs help. But where
Your
are
voice
you,
needs no
Bjorn?
help.
Thank
I
you.
am in Killington, Vermont for President's Day week. I came from Canada. We were in Canada this weekend. Now traveling to Killington, and that's where we are at this Airbnb house.
Very cool. Very cool. So you're up in the snow, you're skiing. How was Canada? How are the boys? Did you visit the Montreal Impact up there while you were there?
I did not. No, we did fly into Montreal. We did see the stadium from the plane. I had been to that stadium before, years ago. NYCFC beat Montreal 3-1, I think. Jack Harrison scored. It was a good one. Also, the most stands out, I think I've mentioned this before, it stands out as the most hostile fan experience we've had. People were genuinely hostile. Canadians, right? Who are supposed to be nice.
Yeah, I guess all the drunkens and that's surprising. This is news to me. That's surprising to hear.
Yeah. They were. My wife had a cup of wine knocked out of her hand.
Really? By who?
By some Montreal fan.
Just
Yeah,
did that?
yeah.
You punch him?
I did not. I was not present for this.
Oh, that sucks. That's
Yeah, it's no good.
I'm surprised to hear that. We need to get a Montreal guy on and explain what their
I
deal
know.
is.
Yeah, hold him
Yeah.
responsible
What's that
for
all
the
about?
actions of his fellow man. The other thing, the one thing also that was the unfinished business I had from that trip was that I tried the stadium poutine.
Yeah.
Which was not good. I was like, this is supposed to be the big deal. Like it was not. But I mean, it was stadium food, and so you can't really be sure if it's the real thing. So we had some poutine this weekend, and it was much better than the stadium version of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, gravy and cheese curds, it's good. Fries with gravy and cheese curds, what could be bad?
I love it. No, I love it. Quiz, Bjorn. I love quizzing you.
boy.
What do we Americans call poutine? When you go to a diner in Midtown in New York and you order yourself some what Canadians would call poutine, what's the dumbed down version that we Americans would call it?
I don't know.
Disco fries.
Disco fries are the same thing as poutine?
I think so. It's gravy and cheese on fries, isn't it?
It's not cheese curds, though. It's probably some.
Just right, yeah, because it's dumbed down. It's
Oh,
American
okay.
cheese. Yeah, it's probably not as fancy.
Oh, interesting. So it's well, if you want to really go down this rabbit hole, because this is what Paige, my wife, was was saying. This is Canada. She was saying this is Canada's version of the Assi-Platte. Do you know that word, Assi-Platte?
No, what's an Aussie?
This is not a. It's not a political. It's not a politically correct term.
What's an Aussie?
An
Aussie?
Aussie. No, an Aussie is short for asozial.
Oh,
So this is
okay.
somebody. This is somebody who's, it's a word for somebody who's low class, somebody who's on welfare, probably.
Right. Well,
So-
in the U.S. we have government cheese.
So the Assi-Platte is a currywurst with fries and red and white fries. So ketchup and mayo on the fries.
That's the Sprachgefühl of the week. Assi-Platte.
Assi-Platte. I mean,
Something a poor
it's
person
not
would
a.
eat.
I don't know how that phrase is H. I don't think you should say that in polite company.
Well, I'm curious what the Americanization of that would be. I don't think they have that. I mean, hobo stew, I guess, but that's just the actual name of the meal. I don't know. It's not like hobo stew would be an example of, and I can't think of an American phrase that explains that. I'm sure there is one from back in the day.
This
But
is
no,
a
yeah.
this is Ruhrgebiet. I don't think this is German wide. This is something they say in my neck of the woods.
Assi-Platte. Right.
The Assi.
You eat your Assi-Platte. We're eating raw Schweinehaxen, something, or whatever the upper class meal would be. In Germany, there's no such thing as upper class meals. I'm trying to think what the upper class meal would be. Something French.
Well, I mean, I think
Duck.
the term then also got sort of co-opted. There was this guy Zeltinger. This guy's Jürgen Zeltinger. He's a guy from Cologne. And he was a musician. He had a famous song, Assi mit Niveau. He was he was describing himself as an Assi with some culture. He was a high level Assi. So there's different layers to the term. Anyway, this is what you come here for some deep dives into the German mind.
This is 100% what I came here for. 100%. I'm learning every week. The audience is learning. That's very cool. You know who's learning, though, is Bayern München.
Bayern München. Are they learning, or are they just...
They are learning that they cannot defeat Borussia Mönchengladbach.
I mean...
no matter how hard they try.
Right?
Gladbach are the Bayern killers. Bayern München bought Borussia Mönchengladbach's goalkeeper, Jan Sommer, who was, the last time they played, he did 16 saves? And then they're like, well, if you can't beat him, join him. So they bought him. And then the new kid filled in, this new Swiss guy, and Borussia Mönchengladbach got 3-2 again.
It's wild.
They're like,
we'll
win.
They lost to Hertha the week before 4-1, right? What is happening? What is happening in the Bundesliga?
I do not know. Speaking of what's happening, I am tech covered. I'm an idiot. So, so what is this video? I'm going to show this video of. So it's all part of the same game, or is this? No, this is the Augsburg game. No, never mind. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. So Bayern München played Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Yep.
Gladbach got 3-2. Did you watch the game, or do you watch
I did not.
the highlight?
I did
watch?
Not. I was shocked to find that my ESPN Plus subscription is no good in Canada.
VPN, my friend.
I
VPN.
get. Well, no,
how
but
do you watch the Bundesliga in Canada?
All the sports streamers are hip to the VPN. I don't think that works.
Yeah, my ESPN doesn't work with my VPN either. But people online swear it works. So I think it depends on the VPN.
Really? On the VPN? Okay.
I have Surfshark, and ESPN got wise to Surfshark. But there might be one or two it hasn't gotten wise to. But anyway, I'm curious how you watch it in Canada. Do they still have Gold TV Canada? I think.
I
don't know.
I was also distracted. We had some appointments, so I didn't try too hard, but I struck out. I could not make it happen.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is because.
So I've seen
Did
some
you watch the highlights?
I've seen
Because
some highlights. Yes,
the big moment at the beginning of the game was when Upamecano took down a Gladbach player, name escapes me at the moment, and he got a red card for it. And that essentially was the turning point of the game. That's when it was like, all right, now Bayern's down a man, and Bayern has their backs against the wall, and they just never could get out of it. You can hear me, right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. And the big news of the day in Bayern München land is that Julian Nagelsmann, in a very it was a very English mentality this week, because he ripped the referee apart and criticized the referee right in their face and said the call was soft and he threw the game, which is something you hear that in England every week, right? Week in and week out. Germany, people don't say that much because the refereeing in Germany is pretty on point overall. But he said it. The DFB got mad. They investigated it. He was up for a suspension. I think he came out and he apologized recently for his comments. And that was sort of the game of the day. And Julian Nagelsmann overall is teeter-tottering a little bit. Because if it wasn't this game, was it this game or was it last game where he went into the locker room, didn't say anything, yelled at them for 30 seconds, and ran back out to the bench, just hung out on the bench and looked at his phone for 15 minutes?
I think that was this week, right? I've saw something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously things are a little tense over there, right? I mean, they're now even on this. Union Berlin could have passed them, right?
Could have if they beat Schalke, but they
but
tied.
We're unable to beat Schalke. Schalke now defends. I think that this is like their third shutout or their third scoreless game in a row. Schalke now knows how to defend. So Union did not go top, but Borussia Dortmund won again. So now we have a 3-way tie,
and we're just under a third of the way of the season. So we've got a third of the way plus a game or two, and we got a 3-way tie between Union Berlin, which Stella got a groove back, a frustrated, limping Bayern München, at least domestically, and a red-hot Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund's on fire with one Karim Adeyemi. Did you get a chance to see his goal and assist at the beginning of this game as a 4-1 victory over Hertha, if I'm not mistaken? Did you get a chance to see his game?
Yeah, and also, not to forget about the goal he scored against Chelsea on it was Wednesday, right? Yeah,
Wednesday. That's right. Dortmund held
the one man fast break. Enzo, the $110 million man, Enzo Fernandez, got smoked.
Where was this man 2 months ago? Everyone was talking Moukoko, World Cup Moukoko. That ended. Now it's the Adeyemi time. All of a sudden, Mokoku's yesterday's news. All of a sudden. And Karim Adeyemi is now the star up front.
I mean, he was on the squad, right? He was in the squad, but he didn't get any time. Yeah, I mean, he's now just sort of rounding into form, I guess.
His last few goals are his, I think, only goals this season, other than one. He got that Dosenaufner goal, which we talked about in our Sprachgefühl from a few weeks ago. I think that was his first goal of the season. And what a accurate description, because since he scored that goal, he's been on fire. The can has been opened. It's called the can opener goal. And he's been spilling some beans. He's been spilling some goals, my friend. Young Karim Adeyemi.
He is confident. He's feeling it.
I'll take it. We need it. Well done. Mach hin, Adeyemi. Mach hin. Well done. We have a 3-way tie up top. We had a couple of good games over the weekend. The Mainz game was really, really good. Mainz is also, that little club that could.
Yeah.
They had a very confident display against Bayer Leverkusen. But the weekend kicked off with Augsburg Hoffenheim, which was a really, really good game. Augsburg getting a 1-goal late winner at the end, but there was so much going on. There were cards, there were controversies. There was a Hoffenheim player who you could see visually attack his coach because the referee wouldn't let him on again. And while one of his coaches was pulling him off, he ripped his arm away and threw his jersey off, and he was mad. I think the referee would let him back on the field. And poor Pellegrino Matarazzo could not console his player, unfortunately. But the reason I brought up the Augsburg game in general, now, I don't know if you know this, guys, but I'm having technical difficulties. I can't figure this out. We talked. So the big talk is this, Bjorn. What do the German referees do right that the English referees do wrong?
I'm not sure what you're thinking of. One thing is they explain themselves afterwards.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned that because although I couldn't bring it up on my computer, I have it on my phone here. I have an exact example of what that's like. So how do we get this going here? Okay. Hold on. Vamp. Vamp. No, not that. Vamp. Vamp for me, Bjorn.
Oh, yeah, I could talk a little bit about Bochum, I guess. A little the home streak.
We don't have that much vamping time. 10-second vamp.
Home streak ended. Finally lost at home under the new coach to Freiburg. Freiburg looking like sort of disposed of Bochum like the Champions League contender that they perhaps really are. In the olden days, Bochum against Freiburg, you would think would be not such a foregone conclusion, but it was this time. Freiburg really dominated. And another red card there also for Captain Lozia. He got suspended for 2 more. So, yeah, Bochum back in the relegation zone. And, we'll see how that goes. But Hoffenheim, I mean, there's a 3-way tie from 14 to 16 with Stuttgart and Hoffenheim. So we'll see. Schalke seems to be, they can't score, but they also are defensively solid. Hertha they felt good last week. This week they lost to Dortmund pretty clearly. Augsburg got a little breathing room. Köln lost to Stuttgart by 3. So it's a wild. Everything is it's close and unpredictable. The Bundesliga is wild this year. I mean, this is match day 21, and we have a 3-day tie at the top. That has not happened for 10 years.
You also have a 3-way tie at the bottom. A lot of hot 3-way action happening at the Bundesliga, and that's how I like it. Okay, I think I've lined something up for you. Are you ready to translate, Bjorn?
Why don't you tell us more about the 3-way action that you like? No, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Sure. Anyway, so we talked about this before. In German media, they'll talk to the ref, and the ref will come on, and he'll explain his decisions. First off, most German decisions tend to be right. There's very few times where German referees are wrong.
Most German decisions
refereeing
tend to be right.
Soccer refereeing decisions, In England, the VAR team got fired from refereeing or something because they got it wrong.
Well, they forgot to draw a line.
HD screen.
Forgot to draw a line during a VAR offside check.
But in England, there's VAR errors all the time, and they just can't get it to going over there. In Germany, no VAR errors. They're good to go. Now, granted, that foul in Bayern was maybe soft. We can talk about that a little bit. But this Augsburg referee was handing out cards and this and that. He seemed to be very on point. And then after the game, with the highlights, he goes on camera and he talks about his decisions, explains it all. Easy peasy. So I'm going to play a little bit here. And let's see if you can translate some for me. Let's see if I got it in the right spot. Can you hear this?
Hatten, aber wir haben gesagt, wir wollen diese Unsportlichkeiten ganz klar ahnden und das tun wir. Den Weg gehen wir weiter, auch wenn es Widerstand gibt. Aber ich glaube, er ist akzeptiert auch von der Öffentlichkeit und deswegen glaube ich, sind wir da auf dem richtigen Weg.
That's the referee explaining his decision, giving a yellow card for a man for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Unsportsmanlike conduct? Yeah, he was saying how they're determined to crack down on this unsportsmanlike conduct, and they're going to continue to do that even if they're facing resistance from some coaches.
Auch diesmal beginnt Augsburg besser und wieder erzielen sie den vermeintlichen Führung.
Oh, I guess that was the end of that. Yeah, I just think that was nice, you know. Right in the middle of the highlights. Oops, do that one more time. Right in the middle of the highlights.
I can't hear it now.
Oh, I took it away from the mic, but here for the visuals, he's just on.
Yeah.
He's just on the TV explaining himself, which is nice.
Yeah, I think we talked about a couple of weeks ago that little exchange between, I think it was Marco Rosa, right, and the other referee who was.
Yeah, and he apologized. He's
like,
well,
well,
yeah, you're right.
It's like, yeah, you were right. I was wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing that is useful, I suppose. Especially if the decisions are actually correct. It would be more awkward, of course, if they got it wrong and they'd have to come on and be like, yeah, I fucked that up.
Yeah, but it seems to be
who was it?
German referees are they're on point. Like when I watch the Bundesliga, the calls are they're just as tricky and complicated, but they're usually correct, right? The Kölner Keller, the Cologne basement, the head VAR crew in Germany, they're on point.
They get it right.
They're doing it right? Or am I wrong? Like I can't think of too many.
I mean, I would
calls.
say I think I get that impression that there's less. I mean, people always get upset, and there's a gray area where not all decisions are black and white. You know, like I was just thinking about that handball penalty kick that Bochum got a couple of weeks ago, which was kind of a little soft and sort of on the line, and the referee then. Afterwards was like, well, yeah, it wasn't exactly the mother of all handball penalties.
Yeah, but isn't that nice?
Basically
referee
himself sort of acknowledging that, you know, it was a little borderline.
Yeah, but isn't that nice? Because it's not like he missed it. He admits it's kind of a soft call, but it is the right call. Soft, but it's right. Like the one questionable call this weekend would have been that Upamecano call. But, you know, as soft as it looks, I don't know if you remember it, you know, he's running and it's one-on-one and the guy falls. There's very, very minimal contact, but there's contact. He puts his hand on his shoulder or whatever, and the guy falls. He's probably diving a little bit or whatever, or selling it, but there's contact. So technically, it was a red, and he was the last man, which means it's a red. Almost a dog so. So technically, the call was correct. You know what I mean? You can argue it's a little. I guess you could argue that he should have been a no call. That's fine. I would have been fine with that too. But technically, the call was within the laws of the game. You know, it's not a blown call. Meanwhile, you go across the pond to England, and they're forgetting the line on the monitor. Is that what's happening? I didn't 100% see it, but I know. The refereeing team was taking off VAR.
That was not this weekend. It was a couple weeks ago. But yeah, that's why these people got fired, because one of them, there's like two lines to draw, and he forgot to draw, or he picked the wrong player to draw the line from, and anyway, no, the VAR, it's a problem. It's a problem.
What are the Germans doing so right that the English are doing so wrong? That's what I want to know. And how do we get that in MLS? How do we get the referees to go on the post-game show and talk about their decisions? How do we get that?
Right? It seems like that would be the kind of thing that that people would do, perhaps, right? In these parts. I don't know why that's not a thing. That could be something that MLS well, now Mark Geiger, right? Has now joined the fray. I don't know. Is he gonna make a change?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I can't read their minds. We'll see. I have been hearing rumors in general. I don't know where that's from. Is it FIFA or MLS? Where referees are going to be mic'd when they're on the VAR monitor.
That's
right out of
definitely
football.
Yeah, and then they're going to have to give little explainers.
I like that. It's right out of football, right? But as long as because when we zoom in and we see them do the VAR thing, it's nice to hear a little play-by-play. It's nice to hear them when they talk, and they're like, "Okay, the guy's there. He's got the contact, but it's late thing. That's going to be X, Y, and Z." And then it's nice to hear their thinking, right?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, I think, for them to concisely explain maybe sometimes. I think that's its own skill, but we'll see how that goes. I think it's an interesting, we need more transparency. But on the other hand, I think there's also a limit to how, some people will be unhappy. It's just sort of, I know this from my own experience as a fan. It's like, VAR, you love it when it goes your way. You hate it when it doesn't. Like, it's just, it's just very,
plus in MLS, if they do that, you're going to have to hear Don Garber call in and say, like, don't give Zlatan the red card. You know what I mean? It's like we need him for the next 30 minutes.
Oh no!
So you have to hear that stuff.
Conspiracy theories, anti-MLS conspiracy theories.
Well, there was a time, I think it was in Montreal, where I think a defender was standing on his foot or something, and he just fucking openly slaps the guy. He's just like, "Hey!" It's like, "Up my foot," and it was uncalled. I think they just kept moving, maybe a yellow or something.
Zlatan gets to do that. He gets one slap per season.
The Bundesliga? No, that's a red card or 3 games.
That's why he never played in Germany.
Yeah, because he couldn't.
Also, and not enough money.
True that. So we got German referees thumbs up, loving it, loving the post game interaction. Julian Nagelsmann had to eat a little crow because he attacked the referees, and I think the fans of the country were on the referees' side. So there's some tension over at Bayern. But let's talk Champions League. Bayern München won against PSG. It was a 1-0 victory in Paris.
Yeah, kind of. That game I did watch the whole thing. It was odd. It was very dominant, and then Mbappe came in, and it all kind of turned. And it was a VAR. A VAR call saved them, and a very. It wasn't a controversial call, but it was definitely close. And they could have. Early on, it looked like they could have won this 2-3-0, but then in the end, they were happy to get away. I mean, Mbappe, just a game changer, really. I mean, it's not like these other guys are chumps, Neymar and Messi.
Well,
but he came in and really turned this thing around. In the end, Bayern were happy to keep their 1-0 victory. But I don't think, this is not done, because that's a team that can score. So it's not like, and especially now with this away goal rule no longer existing, we'll see.
It's still game on. Neymar was the latest on Neymar was he was crying, holding his ankle, and stretchered off the field over the weekend. So
this week. I did not know that. Okay.
Yesterday or 2 days ago.
I was gonna say, like, Neymar definitely was Neymaring in that Bayern, like trying, rolling around and
the criticism for Neymar
hurt. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, after the game, typical Paris nonsense. I love when they lose because I hate what's going on in Paris, and I hate the egos in there. The Parisian nonsense. What's German for Parisian nonsense? Unsinn,
Unsinn.
Parisien.
Der Pariser Unsinn. Der Pariser Unsinn?
The Pariser Unsinn. That's a Schnitzel boys word. Schnitzelgefühl, we'll call it. Pariser Unsinn. So after the game, Kylian Mbappe says, we need to rest. We need to rest up. And then Neymar was filmed at 3 a.m. playing poker and then heading to McDonald's or something. He played a long poker tournament and then went to McDonald's the night after the loss. And then over the weekend, he got a terrible ankle injury again, which he just has a terrible ankle. So it's looking like typical in Neymar fashion, right when the league needs him, right when, Neymar was bought for $250 million to win the Champions League. Yet every round of 16, when the competitive team shows up, he tends to injure his foot and he can't play for the rest of the year. And it seems like that's about to happen again.
What are you implying? That this happens on purpose? He plays poker so that his ligaments are weakened?
Well, he's really into poker. When I played Poker Stars last week, there was a special Neymar game where I was cut in and I had to play against 3 Neymars or something. He has one of his many business deals where Neymar is a Poker Stars pro or something. He's getting really into poker or whatever. I'm sure the Paris fans love that. And what I'm implying is Commissioner Don Garber's calling into those games too. He's calling in. He's like, get him out of there.
I guess if you had to, as a fan, if you had to choose between poker and skiing, I guess you'd pick skiing.
Between Neuer and Neymar.
Well, the
Neuer, you don't get injured.
Extracurricular, as far as extracurricular pursuits go, poker seems relatively safe. Yeah.
Well, Neymar,
I guess, except for the business hours, I guess.
Well, the money he's losing. I mean, he's not going to lose forever. But Neymar got injured playing soccer, where Neuer got injured skiing. So you're right. I guess I'd rather have the poker player than the skier. I guess that's true. But all I'm saying is it's an exciting match in München. Like you said, it's not over. But Paris Saint-Germain is definitely. It's looking to be a little anticlimactic. They're looking on the outside, looking in, and they have to go to München on a struggling Bayern team, but still to München, so they're good to go. Dortmund got a 1-0 over Chelsea at home.
That was easy. That game was wild. That was a wild game.
So here we go. Bayern and Dortmund both won 1-0 each against big teams. Bayern in Paris, Dortmund at home to Chelsea. But totally different games. Because in Paris, Bayern were very dominant. They held the ball. It was their game the whole time. The whole first half, Paris didn't even get the other half. Now, Dortmund's at home against Chelsea. And Dortmund was taking quite a beating. Not a beating, but like Chelsea was coming at him. And the Borussia Dortmund defense held strong, man. They did well. And then they got that great out of nowhere super counter from Adeyemi to get the goal. And Fatigissis, they held on to it. They got a home win. But going to London, it's looking, it's for them, it's looking steep for them. That's the feeling I got. When they're going to go to London, they're not behind the yellow wall. The fact they can only scrounge together a 1-0 win. I still think Chelsea, despite their struggles, might still have the slight edge come Stamford Bridge. What do you think?
I mean, Chelsea are a mess. They lost to Southampton this weekend, which they are the last place team in the Premier League. Right. They don't have a coach, and
Jesse Marsch turned them down.
Jesse Marsch turned them down. I made a joke in my text group chat where I was speculating that that U.S. Soccer had told Jesse Marsch that they weren't going to decide the U.S. men's national team job until the summer, and then Jesse was like, "Oh, I can take the Southampton job then because I'll get fired. I'll probably get fired by then. That'll be perfect timing." But no. In fact, that was my speculation was incorrect. He turned down the Southampton job because they did not offer him a long-term enough contract. He wanted a longer period. I mean, they're in last place in the Premier League. They're not going to offer. I mean,
my boy is smart. Taking the job on the sole bounds that he's going to win the promotion, like keep him up this year, is suicide. If I'm him, I do exactly what he did. He's like, I'll be your coach, but we're going to get relegated, and I get all of the championship next year to get our team back up, and then we get good again. You know what I mean? That's the plan. And I think Southampton's like, no, 3-month contract. Just say
No, that's Southampton's like, no, we don't
no
want to
thanks.
we don't want to go back up. We want to
Yeah.
not go down. Yeah. Anyway, they beat Chelsea on the road. I mean, Chelsea, it's weird because they spent a ton of money, but I think all these players are good. I don't think they.
Well, the coach, Graham Potter, specifically said to the press that it was not his fault. He's like, what's happening isn't my fault. And that's all he said. And the press is like, okay.
Okay, yeah, well, fix it then. Yeah.
But what I will say is with the parallels with Bayern are very interesting because it is interesting how domestic form and Champions League form are really like two different things.
They don't really correlate. And it has to be said. I mean, that you said a little bit about it, but the Champions League, the Dortmund-Chelsea game, I mean, they hit the post 3 times.
Right. Chelsea were dominant.
Kobel with another incredible performance. Like even just from the beginning, if you had told me 5 minutes into that game, Dortmund's going to get a shutout, a clean sheet, I would have said, no way. I would not have put 50 cents on that possibility. It was like, it was shocking. And I think, it was.
What's that old phrase? Bayern Drüssel, isn't that the phrase?
Yeah,
the Bayern luck. Yeah. Now we have Borussia Drüssel. Drüssel means luck, right? The luck of Borussia.
They are more committed defensively, so they're getting some rewards for their efforts. But they also they got very lucky in the Chelsea game, but it also seems to have to do with. That seems to be the malaise of Chelsea. They just cannot score. And I mean, it was the same against Southampton. They had a lot of good chances. Raheem Sterling. Joao Felix looks really dangerous in every game that I've seen, but he just can't. I think he scored. But yeah, he hit, like I said, he hit both posts, I think, against Dortmund. So make of that what you will. Does this mean Chelsea just can't score, or does this mean that this is just bad luck and eventually they're gonna somebody's gonna feel it? So I don't know. It's gonna be another wild game. I mean, that game was so entertaining. It was crazy.
It was so fun, yeah.
But then
because it was the crowd and Borussia Dortmund was really holding on, and they did it. They got
just one goal. That was wild.
But my head gives it to London, though. I mean. Are they going to do that again in London? I don't know. I hope Dortmund go through.
They just need a tie.
They
just need a tie. They just need a tie. I mean,
so.
Yeah. Let's hope. Let's hope so. I think so. I think that'd be exciting. I was finding myself really rooting. I guess it has to do with the Pariser Unsinn that I also, I guess, don't love. That I was really rooting for Bayern in that game, the PSG game, which generally I'm not. I do not. I don't care that much what happens to them. So that was interesting.
All Germans go there and then leave because it's like, screw this party. Thomas Tuchel left. He was fired by Leonardo. And then Kevin Trapp had enough. He went back to Frankfurt. And
even
Julian Draxler, he had enough.
He really let his career die though before. I mean, he was there for too long.
True, and him and Neymar would fight in practice because Julian Draxler has a work ethic and Neymar wants to go eat McDonald's, play poker. So the PSG party where they spend money and do their thing, I would love nothing more than for them to be eliminated in the round of 16. But that's just me. Yeah, okay, we got some previews. We got tomorrow. We've got Eintracht Frankfurt hosting red hot Italy's best Napoli.
Napoli, yeah, that's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, but you got to give that one to Napoli, right? Napoli's going to come in hot. I hope Frankfurt can pull something.
I don't know. Frankfurt at home. We'll see.
I'm talking about the whole tie. And then
Napoli definitely favored for sure.
And then on Wednesday, RB Leipzig at home to Manchester City, which we talked about at the draw. All 4 German teams were given a challenge. Usually it's like Bayern München is usually the one. It's like, oh no, they were given PSG. So Bayern München's doing their challenge fine. Dortmund's doing their challenge against Chelsea. Like I said, they had a good game. Still feeling Chelsea though, unfortunately. And then Frankfurt were given Napoli, Italy's best team. And then RB Leipzig were given frickin' Man City, England's historically best team of recent years. So we have just a lot of uphill battles for these German teams. Can Frankfurt and Leipzig copy their Bayern and Dortmund brethren and get a couple of 1-0 wins at home before they go off? We'll see.
I made that bold prediction last week that not all 4 will advance, but I mean it's even it's amazing that there are 4 teams in the. I mean there's been a lot of early exits recently, so and so far the first 2 are at least competitive so far, and we'll see. Frankfurt and Napoli, I think that's going to be close. I think ultimately Napoli probably will pull that out, but I think Frankfurt will hold their own. And Leipzig and City, I mean that just depends on I mean Leipzig has a good defense, so that's going to be the matchup, Haaland against Guardiola. But I mean you can only hope that they're not going to embarrass themselves.
It's a very Liverpool. They're like Liverpool because they have the same high press philosophy Liverpool has. And the one club Man City has struggled with the last few years is Liverpool. They've been their bogey team. So can RB Leipzig be fake Liverpool and offer them a style of play that they struggle against? We'll see. Emil Forsberg did score over the weekend to prove me wrong. Yeah. Well done, Forsberg. But when it comes, they lost to Union Berlin. When it comes to, I think it was last week, right? When it comes to big games, like Leipzig has picked themselves up in this second half of the season, but then they will drop crucial points against someone like Union Berlin. So it's still hit or miss with RB Leipzig.
Yeah, we'll see which RB Leipzig will show up. But yeah,
if more than one,
the other banger, Liverpool against Real Madrid. Liverpool kind of getting into better form a little bit, so that's another banger. No German participation, but still a big one.
Yeah, Toni Kroos, or did he retire? Is Toni Kroos still playing?
No, he's still around. He was hurt. I don't know. He may miss this one.
Him and his brother wrote a podcast, I think, right, where he talked about how much he loves the Super League idea. I think that was his thing this week. Toni Kroos came out to defend the Super League this week.
Oh boy.
Latest in Toni Kroos and the Toni Kroos watch. Okay, cool. I think that does it for Germany week. Do you have any other things? All right.
That's it.
All right, boys.
Title race. #title race. And
3-way tie. Who's going to win the Bundesliga this year, Bjorn?
Dortmund.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe. What if it's Union Berlin? I kind of like that story a little better. But who knows? It'll likely be Bayern. There are people challenging them. I'm just challenging them. Dortmund, Ruhrgebiet, pride. Okay, we're hopping over to the American section, talk MLS and yada yada. Hop over there if you'd like. If not, we'll see you guys next week. Good luck to the German teams of the Bundesliga. Bis nächste Woche.